Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network with your host, Will Huckaby and Mika Villas.
And welcome, everybody. Once again, this is the Wrestling Nerdcast. I'm your host, the AIWF World Heavyweight Champ, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champ, the West Virginia Championship Wrestling Heritage Champion. I am the disrespectful intellectual. I'm the Southern Gentleman. I am a national treasure and a reality TV star, the Mid-Atlantic Bully, the Incredible Huck, Will Huckaby. And as usual, this podcast is brought to you courtesy of the Angry Marks Podcast Radio Network. Huge shout out to our friends at Indie Customs. Say what's up, Indie Customs. Hey, Indie Customs. Be sure to check them out on Facebook, Indie Customs, or Twitter at Indie Customs for all of your pro wrestling and non-pro wrestling needs. Shirts, hats, beanies, cups, you name it, bumper stickers, they can do it for you. While you're up there on the little computer doing what you do, be sure to check out our friends at Pro Wrestling World. That's right, Pro Wrestling World, for all of your WWE, Impact, New Japan, Brit Wrestling, Lucha Libre, and American Indie Wrestling. Find out who's doing what, when, where, and why. Find out who's the movers and shakers and who's getting signed and who just got unsigned. Find out where all the big shows are going. Now, with all that being said, I guess it's that time for me to introduce you to my co-host. She is the lover of waffles, the voice of the speech impediment, the idolater of affection. They call her Chicago Win. She is Mrs. Hashtag What That Mom Do, one half of the world's cutest commentary team. You can check her out on every Lucha Atlanta and Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment show. And pretty soon she'll be coming up north for all of you Yankees, etc., etc., etc. She is the one, the only, Mika Villas. Mika, what's going on, girl?
Why did you have to call them Yankees? I'm going back north where I belong, back to my home area, to my part of the country, above the Mason-Dixon line, away from all this sweet tea and y'all slow biscuits and gravy eating people. I mean, come on, man. Hi, how are you? Long time no hear.
I'm doing great. Like I said, so it's been a while since we've talked. A lot of things have happened, not only with me, not only with you, but with professional wrestling in general. So what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, I've been one and foremost, I was sick. I came down with, people call it the post-mania flu, but really and truly I came down with, here in Georgia, the weather was stupid. It was hot, it was cold, it was hot, it was cold, and that kind of affects me. I hate the cold. So I was without a normal speaking voice for a little bit, but that didn't stop me. I was still out making towns here and there, going to check out some wrestling shows. I checked out a benefit Action Wrestling. My good friend Matt the Mouth, former FLW radio counterpart with me, he is the booker man for that new promotion here in Georgia, and they did a benefit show for Make-A-Wish. So I was, of course, there supporting, watching Fred Yehi, who we've talked to here on this show, our buddy Fred, take on Kane Justice. Kane Justice is a barefoot wonder, and Fred, if you've ever seen Fred in the ring, you know he likes to stomp body parts. So he took out the boy's toes, but most importantly, Kane Justice's chest was lit up like a Christmas tree. Before Daniel Bryan got his chest opened up, Fred Yehi laid open Kane Justice, and it was a wonderful, beautiful thing. So I've been making shows and just kind of getting the voice back together, and here I am, ready to rock.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, there's been so many shows. I've had so many shows, so many matches, so many title defenses. So many things have happened, not only in American independent wrestling, but professional wrestling in general. I know the last time we talked was right after the last Impact pay-per-view and stuff, and since then, we've had the world's greatest Royal Rumble, which, with the exception of, the worldwide slide, Titus O'Neil's worldwide slide. In my opinion, nothing exciting happened. And then we had Backlash, and I'm kind of caught up on that. And, once again, I still feel like Impact has put on a better product wrestling-wise overall. But then some exciting news, and I don't know if you heard this or not, Mika, but Chris Jericho is making his return back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Did you get a chance to see that?
Is that where he's going to take on Naito?
Yes, and let me tell you something. Did you get a chance to actually see what happened at Donkazu?
I did not get a chance to see exactly what happened as of yet. I've been kind of rolling and doing some other stuff. But please share with everybody what happened.
Just like, I guess, when he attacked Kenny Omega, it was a broadside attack. We already seen where he had already attacked Naito the day after Wrestle Kingdom this year. But it was, after a 5-man match, it was basically LIJ versus Suzuki Gun and stuff. LIJ got the win. And Chris Jericho was actually dressed as a fan with an LIJ mask on and stuff. And attacked Knight, beat him bloody, hit him with the ring bell, busted him open. Just a great segment and stuff. And one of the best things about that is just like how Chris Jericho had kind of put his own spin on the Bullet Club t-shirts and made it Alpha Club. He now has a new t-shirt that's like a new LIJ t-shirt or whatever, but now it's like Los Ingobernables de Jericho or something like that. Like, it's amazing. I don't usually buy people's wrestling shirts. I'm not gonna lie. Usually, like, I'm at a show, I'm like, hey, I just bully somebody to give me a shirt. But I'm actually really thinking about buying an LIJ Chris Jericho shirt.
I've seen you bully people for shirts, so that is true. That Chris Jericho is, if nothing else, a marketing genius. He knows how to push himself. He knows how to elevate talent. And right now, I think he's doing kind of a bucket list of wrestling. So more power to him. Talk about shirts. Don't you have a shirt?
Yes, I do. I have my World Star Hip Hop Inspired T-shirt. Be sure to buy. Either message me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or you can always talk to our friends over there at Indie Customs because they have all of my T-shirt designs, all of my old T-shirts, my new World Star Hip Hop Inspired T-shirt. Now that I'm a national treasure and a reality TV show star, you should definitely pick that shirt up because I'm only going to be running it for a limited time, maybe until I might just actually have those shirts actually really push them until Memorial Day, and then after that for the summer, I got a brand new T-shirt I'm coming out with for the summer.
Fresh hot gear for the summer. Oh my gosh. I guess maybe I should bully you into a T-shirt, but we'll talk about that later.
You're not bullying me into a T-shirt, Mika. I'm sorry. Get back to what you were saying about Jericho. It's like I love the fact that at 48 years old, Chris Jericho, just like the Undertaker, finds a way over and over and over again to reinvent himself. To not every feud with between Chris Jericho and somebody else is the same. He doesn't have the typical wrestling feud with people. It's always something different. It's always something creative. He always reinvents himself. It's always something that people want to see. And I feel like when it comes to professional wrestling nowadays, with very, very few exceptions, Chris Jericho may be the only heel left at that level of professional wrestling because you got to get a chance. If you don't watch nothing else from New Japan, it was a great show overall. You got to watch that segment because Chris Jericho literally had fans crying in the audience. It was crazy.
Again, Jericho is a genius. I have always loved and have been a bit afraid of heel Jericho. I remember my fondest memory and horror of heel Jericho was the with Chyna when he had her tied to a chair and he had a hammer in his hand. He was gonna like break her fingers. There was something about that just remorseless, seemingly evil man who would dare do this to this woman who was a powerful woman who had her reduced down to just the most helpless thing. I was just like, oh my gosh, this man is evil. He's evil incarnate. I'm definitely going to check that out and see how this older, more mature evil Jericho fares.
Also from the New Japan show, and we're going to talk about, other companies and stuff too, but also from the New Japan show, which is what everybody's talking on Twitter, on social media, is that we're going to get Okada versus Omega 4. This time it's going to be a no time limit, 2 out of 3 falls or whatever. Like, super excited that them two guys are going to have another match with no time limits because we've seen them go 45 minutes. We've seen them have an hour-long draw go 30 minutes. This match right here, I have no idea what else they're going to be able to do.
I think they're going to go like full Godzilla, Mothra, Japan, and go up to like about 80 feet tall and stomp building and other things to beat each other. They've done so much. They have to go, I think, superhuman, over the top, crazy in order to top and blow people away what they've done. I mean, I say the most ridiculous things ever, but I think they're going to go so ridiculous that we're all just going to be floored by what these two do in the ring once again.
Yeah. Now, did you get a chance to see the Greatest Royal Rumble and or Backlash? Let's say Backlash.
Blacklash. All right. Black History Month comes again, y'all, because you know.
About Kanye West. Blacklash. Starring Kanye West.
Wow. Okay. So yes and yes, I watched the Greatest Royal Rumble live as well as Backlash on the WWE Network, the award-winning WWE Network. If you guys didn't know that, they won an award. Whoop-de-doo. Greatest Royal Rumble, there were some great matches. I will give them that. Seth Rollins is a technician, and right now he is just out there, balls to the wall, everything and anything. Love when he is in a ring. It is becoming magical now. I'm watching. I'm not like a huge Seth Rollins fan, but I don't like discard him at all. But he was a little boring. He was a little stale for me. But now I'm definitely dialed in. But overall, the pay-per-view was a great house show with a Royal Rumble that they put 50 people in for a paycheck, as well as to erase the stench of Alberto Del Rio being the winner of the largest Royal Rumble ever. That's what I feel this pay-per-view achieved overall.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, again, solid matches. People have asked me about the lack of women. This is not new for the WWE. I don't think it's a step backwards in the women's revolution. But as far as the matches go, they didn't do anything exciting and over the top that made this particularly memorable and like, oh my gosh, you have to go back and watch this whole Royal Rumble or this whole everything. Nah, I can just go back and watch the couple matches that, you know, were really, really good and call it a day.
The thing was, Mika, is that because of the government, the Saudi Arabian government, they couldn't have female talent on the show. That was kind of a law, I think. You know what I'm saying? That they could not have any female talent whatsoever on the show. Matter of fact, they not only could they not have any female talent, but Sami Zayn wasn't allowed on the show as well.
It's a cultural thing as far as the Saudis go. In their culture, they believe that the women are pretty much weaker or subservient to the males, that they should not have the same rights. They are moving to change that. In 2015, women in Saudi Arabia got the right to drive vehicles. So while it is nowhere near a progressive country like the United States, Canada, and all of the places in the, you know, free world that we're used to, they are trying. There were women there because it was mandated, or at least they understood the, I guess, the blowback that would have been because people are challenging their cultural beliefs or just kind of downplaying it. So, you know, they had women there, but of course the WWE couldn't have women perform just because they are not trying to change a culture as of yet. They're just trying to get into that country and expand their foothold in the world of wrestling entertainment.
Well, it wasn't just that. Like, the WWE also got like some flack because they actually showed a commercial featuring female wrestlers and stuff, and there was a huge problem about that as well.
Yes, the flack comes with the fact that during the prayer, I want to say hour, but it may be whatever their time frame for their prayer. In the middle of this pay-per-view, in this country, there is a prayer break every day, I believe. So they took a prayer break, and during the prayer break in the United States and whoever else in the world was watching, the WWE did video packages. In those video packages, they show female talent in their various outfits that they wear, you know, their gear, their costumes, whatever you want to call it. And in the Saudi Arabian culture, women in that state of undress is against the law. That is a huge, huge no-no. The things that, again, we take for granted. Right now, you can't see me. I'm not John Cena, but you can't see what I'm wearing. I'm wearing kind of a tank top. That is against the law for a woman in that country. So the WWE broadcasting in this stadium images of women in a state of undress for that culture during prayer. Again, it was a mistake. It was a huge mistake, but it is such a faux pas that the Saudi Arabian government had to go and make apologies for their people watching or in attendance of this event because of that. I'll call it social snafu. I'm sure somebody got fired in WWE. Whoever was supposed to double check and check to make sure they weren't breaking any rules and what have you, missed that video packaging, and they are now future endeavored, I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt, they're definitely future endeavor. Right. But my other issue, and I'm not gonna say it's an issue really with the greatest Royal Rumble, is the fact that it was a stereotypical. It really didn't have a Royal Rumble feel to it. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like a glorified house show. I don't understand why the winner of the greatest Royal Rumble got a green gaudy championship belt along with the trophy. The matches kind of seemed kind of called in. Like I said, for me, with the exception of like maybe one or two matches, the best part of the entire thing was Titus O'Neil sliding underneath the ring head first. That was it. Now, moving on to Backlash, because I've seen small bits and pieces of Backlash. I don't know why I want to keep calling it Blacklash. I feel like I have Kanye. I feel like we need to talk about Kanye West, but we're not. What was your thoughts on Backlash?
Honestly, Backlash was boring. I am a WWE fan, and this pay-per-view did not excite me at all. It was a co-branded, the first co-branded pay-per-view. Again, there were some matches that were well done, that were really good, that I would say, oh yeah, maybe check out that one if somebody asked me for a good Rollins match or something to that effect. But overall, the pay-per-view was it was meh. I've seen them do so much better. I understand that they're trying to kind of get their footing, and there's so many pay-per-views back to back, like literally maybe a week apart. I think it's hard to gain momentum and have storylines pushed and give the guys and girls something to work toward instead of just work with. So Backlash put me to sleep at a certain point where I had to go back and watch again, like, oh wait, I fell asleep. Let me wake up and see what I missed. Oh, I missed nothing. So...
But I feel like, to tell you the truth, I feel like there's two things about that entire situation. Is the fact that, that should be proof that they're oversaturating their market. Because if it comes to, you have an entire department, two actually, maybe three, we count NXT. You have three departments, three large groups of people, and their entire job is to come up with storylines, to come up with shit for people to do. This is why. Sometimes you don't even need a storyline. Sometimes it's just, hey, we're competing because we all want to be the champion. Whatever happened to that storyline? Like, hey, it doesn't always have to be, oh, this person jumped me from behind. It's just, hey, I'm trying to be the best. Number two, the reason why I feel like that's a cop-out is the fact that New Japan, they run big shows every month, and they run tours. They have like 5-6 shows in a row. During the G1, they'll have 21 shows or 14 shows or 18 shows in 3 weeks. And for some reason, they can keep people. There's always at least a couple of matches that keeps people entertained, keeps people watching. I feel like WWE is really dropping the ball, and they've just become used to being the big dog in town, being the big dog in the yard, and they're just not really putting their best foot forward. I really feel like they need a groundbreaking, hellified shakeup when it comes to not the talent, because they have amazing talent. I think that their creative department needs a huge shakeup.
I am in full and total agreement with you. That might be the first many agreements. I don't know. It could be, maybe not. Hopefully not. It just sounds weird to say I agree.
I know, but we can both agree that some of the best wrestlers in the world wrestle for WWE. There's no reason why the product should be as bad as it is at times. There's no reason why we should look at a pay-per-view and be like, yeah, it was like a glorified house show. It was like a really horrible Raw. Speaking of that, this week's Raw was not that entertaining whatsoever. It was so non-entertaining that I had it on in the background and was doing something totally different.
Wow. You phoned in watching Raw. That's amazing.
And it's, but that's what we've come to. It's like now I watch Raw for certain people, and if they're not on the screen, I don't really care. One of my biggest disappointments last night is that Raw was in Long Island, New York, and of course that's the home of Zack Ryder, and Zack Ryder was like, "Hey, you should put me in a match." He was in a promo, whatever, a vignette with Kurt Angle. He was like, the fans really want to see me. This is my hometown, et cetera, et cetera. And we all know WWE has a long-standing tradition of shitting on superstars in their hometown,
yes,
with the exception of John Cena. I'm not gonna lie about it. With the exception of John Cena, everybody else gets shitted on in their hometown. But for once, you could have at least just gave the fans what they wanted. Give them Zack Ryder in the main event. You get what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just gotta give the people what they want to see, and they did not do that whatsoever.
That would have been a hell of a swerve because nobody would have seen that coming. Zack Ryder main event, like anybody turning on Raw just to catch that final hour and be like, Zack Ryder's in the main event. What the hell kind of time warp am I in? But they would have seen and felt the crowd. It would have been a perfect swerve, even though he would have gotten, eaten by Braun Strowman alive or whatever the case for the main event would have been in that case to, get him there. It still would have gotten him there and then gotten him over for the crowd and just, more people in general. But it's WWE. I mean, let's put it like this. The show started off with Kurt Angle. God bless Kurt Angle because the man has had issues and problems in and out of the ring, personal, professional, whatever. But I really feel that Kurt has taken a whole lot of headshots, and he shouldn't be speaking in public, especially on a show that is broadcast worldwide. My personal feelings.
I did see that beginning promo, and I did feel like, oh, Kurt, like you used to be a really good promo, like,
Right.
But it's touching in a Mick Foley endearing sort of way.
No. Because at this point, I'm concerned about Kurt's mental and physical well-being and health, and I can't get in. It doesn't kick off Raw with the, Kurt Angle's in the ring, the energy, the flow, this is what's going to happen. It's me going, I know doctors who could maybe check him out for concussion syndrome or see if he has the early onset of Alzheimer's or something because he's not sounding right to me. I'm concerned about his physical well-being and not about the physicality that he is going to produce or the show is going to produce. So again, they're starting off wrong. Remember back in the day when people used to bitch and moan that Triple H used to start off the show all the time, DX, Triple H, anybody, because he's a McMahon or he's married to Stephanie and they're going to do a 20-minute promo and blah, blah, blah. But people tuned in, they watched, they picked apart, and they felt something for those long damn promos. They either loved them, they hated them, they loved who they were going against, and they hated Triple H and DX or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you bought into it. You had some emotion related to the show, and now we have nothing.
How about we get away from starting every Raw with a 20-minute promo? Like, how about we just start Raw with a wrestling match? Because this is a wrestling. Well, even though I know WWE is not a wrestling show, it's an entertainment show that features wrestling. I understand that. But how about we just put the promo in a different spot? How about instead of segment 1, you put it in segment 2 or 3? How about they just start off Raw, the wrestling match?
They've done that, but they tend to recycle themselves. We're back at the cycle where the WWE shows start off with a promo. Tonight's SmackDown, for instance, started off with a promo. We're back in that streamline of the writers for WWE are writers for soap operas, and their dialogue lines are used to long strings of dialogue. So they're back at that going, hey, we can talk or let somebody talk. It's very disheartening because, again, you hit the nail on the head when you said that the WWE has some of the best wrestlers. I will add to that, the best entertaining wrestlers in the world. But they are, at this point now, they're pulled back on the shelf, and they have to get and take the little bits and pieces of airtime or storyline that they're given and try to run with them. It's a very tough job. I envy those guys and girls for what they're able to do. But again, the WWE gets more bang for their buck, so to speak, by having long, boring segments and promos than they do for having actual matches in the ring. Something can go wrong physically, but on the mic, the only thing that could go wrong is if you curse. And if you curse, then hey, guess what? That's your ass.
Well, speaking about more bang for your buck, now this is getting completely off topic. Big thing on social media today, especially if you're a wrestling fan in the United States, is the fact that Strong Style Wrestling, which is a company in Indiana, once again canceled their show. And not only did they cancel their show, they canceled their show in the most unprofessional way, period. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Instead of contacting the talent and letting them know in the personal group chat with all the talent, he just kind of, the promoter, who is Mike Smith, I'll call his name out, Mike Smith, just put a blanket Facebook post out there. Didn't even contact his top talent. And he had people such as Penta, Angelina Love, the Workhorseman, it's Shane Mercer, a lot of really top indie stars. We're all working this show and stuff, and none of them really got the heads up that they were supposed to have. And this is like the week of the show. With that being said, the brotherhood that is professional wrestling, the call went out trying to get everybody, trying to fill in for everybody's bookings because people are losing money. And a lot of people that were on that Strong Style Wrestling show, they make their living because of wrestling. A friend of the show, Sugar Duckerton, that's how he makes his living. He's a professional wrestler. He makes his money being in the ring, selling merchandise. There were some people that were on the show, namely Penta, who didn't even have a ticket home. Strongman was supposed to pay for his ride home, and he had no way of getting back to Mexico. With all of this being said, the call to arms came out. Wrestlers got on social media. It was like, if anybody can help, anybody knows any shows going on, if we can get these guys some bookings to make up for the money they're losing, we'd greatly appreciate it. Which brings me to my point. Whether you love this man, whether you hate this man, he's such a polarizing figure. He stepped up to the plate once again. Ian Rotten of the infamous Ian Rotten of IWA Mid-South in Memphis, who is now running shows out of Memphis, Indiana. I've worked for him several times. I have no problem with him personally. He hasn't done anything wrong to me. Stepped up to the plate and booked the majority of that show. He's booked Penta versus Shane Mercer. He's booked the Workhorseman. He's booked Amazing Maria. Like, everybody, if you're within the sound of voice and you're within driving distance of Memphis, Indiana, please go out to IWA Mid-South. This is the go-home weekend before they have the King of the Deathmatch tournaments next week. But please go out and support this show. Go out there and show, and if for nothing else, the fact that, I don't know how many times you actually get to see Penta.
Exactly.
I've seen him live. I've stood next to the man inside the ring. I've seen him on several occasions at WrestleCade, at Lucha Land. The man is amazing. But him versus Shane Mercer, the Iron Demon, is going to be fan-freaking-tastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, please go out there and support that show. And if all, just say thank you to Ian for being a good brother, and whether you like him or you hate him or whatever, he actually stepped in a good deed. Speaking of that, and speaking of promoters and stuff, when we come back after word from these messages, we will have tonight's guest, and I really think everybody's going to enjoy him. I think you're going to enjoy him as well, Mika.
Do you like what you hear? Do you like hearing me and Mika go back and forth between ourselves and talking to some amazing guests from around the world of pro wrestling? Well, then be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/The Wrestling Nerdcast. Donate everything from $7 and up. And as your donations go up, so do the prize packages. Everything from a follow on social media to join our exclusive Wrestling Nerdcast Facebook group to being able to book your own podcast with a guest of your choice within reason, people. Because trust and believe, we're not getting Stone Cold or AJ Styles on this podcast. But once again, if you like us, please support us and spread the word. Thank you. Talk to you later. So, Mr. D, you've been wrestling for 17 years, which is funny because Mika's been out of school for like 47 years. But anyway, with that being with that being said, you know, you've been wrestling for that long. What made you want to become a wrestling promoter? Because, you know, that's an entire different side of the coin, and it comes with its own problems and stresses and worries.
Yeah, that's true. It really stemmed from the school I was going to. The promoter, my trainer, decided, you know, he didn't want to do it anymore. Ray Campos, who's my other trainer, had moved to Mexico, so he really didn't want to do it anymore. So he left it to me and two other guys. And so we decided to run the school. And at that time, the school really didn't have a really good reputation. So I decided to change the name of it. And we started off and running. I mean, I was training guys like ACH and, Jojo Bravo and Boat Brady and a lot of those guys. Carson and them came in later. Barbie Hayden came in later. But you know, all those kids started with me at TCW. And so we were running shows.
That's an incredible list of talent. I'm gonna tell you what, man. Like that is an incredible. You might have one of the best graduating classes as far as like actually putting out great talent. That like just those names you mentioned are amazing. Well, with the exception of ACH, but that's for personal reasons. Like I got my own thing with ACH. But go ahead.
All of them I'm proud of. I'm proud of all of them. I'm proud of what they're doing and how they're they put for a while, it was one of those things that people used to down Austin wrestlers. There was no good talent coming out of Austin. Everybody coming out of Austin was crap. If you were in San Antonio or Dallas, or Houston, you were crap. I think at that time when I was training those guys and I was still, I was one of those guys that, I was training them, but I was still a student. So, we were all helping each other, but I was training those guys and it was one of those things that I stayed on them about. We had that chip on our shoulder that we wanted to prove that, that there was good talent coming out of Austin, that we weren't the shit like everybody was saying. And so we really worked hard. All those guys worked hard. We all worked hard. We pushed because we wanted to be the best and we wanted to leave our mark on wrestling. I always told those guys, don't settle for just being a Texas wrestler. Push for the sky, get outside of Texas, go outside of Texas. Get known out there. And that was one of the good things about those guys is they took that advice and they ran with it. Barbie Hayden and Carson, those guys took the advice and ran big time with it. I'm talking about those two.
The first time I saw those guys was years ago, and Carson he's still a young guy. He's more on the promoter side now. He doesn't do any in-ring wrestling. But when I first met him like 4 years ago, you could tell this guy had star written all over him. Just a massive guy. He took it very seriously. And speaking about taking it very seriously, Mika, I had a chance to meet our guest in January at the AIWF anniversary show in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And the first thing, they get out the car. He brought a group of guys with him, a group of his wrestlers, trainees, students, whatever you want to call them, from Texas with him. And the first thing you notice is that all of them were dressed suits, ties. They had their titles. They looked like they walked in and was like, okay, who are these guys? now, I will say that one of his guys, kind of like, I thought he was with me, Mika. Because, and Mr. B knows who I'm talking about. One of his guys looked at us. I got to tell this story. So, Mika, this kid is like, was he 2-3 years in the business, maybe?
Yes, like 2 years.
He's like 2 years in the business, and we had to do a tag team. I did twice as much work. I did a tag team matches, I did the main event and stuff. So we had a tag team gauntlet match, me and the Get Bundles, for the AIWF tag titles and stuff. And it was a gauntlet match, and we're going over the match and stuff, and I wanted to give this kid the spine buster and stuff, and he kind of flaked out on me. And we get to the back, Mika, and I was like, hey, man, you didn't really jump for my spine buster the way we planned it back here. And he said, yeah, I know, I was kind of nervous. I didn't trust you. So, but next time we work together, I trust you to give me the spine buster. And this time, Mika, I'm now the AIWF World Heavyweight Champ. And I look at him, I'm like, how long you been wrestling? And he's like, 2 years. I'm like, so you just told the world champ that you didn't trust him to give you a move? And his face goes bright red. And he's like, oh shit, I really messed up. And I looked at Mr. B and I'm like, so this is your guy, right? And he's like, yeah. So I told Mr. B what his kid said. And the look on Mr. B's face is like, he looked like the black parent at the grocery store when their kid messes up. Like, when you mess up and your mom has to come to school and she gives you a look when she wants to press me, I'm like, you're embarrassing me in front of all these white people. Like, he gave the kid that look. Like, you've been embarrassing me in front of all these people.
They got a earful on the way back. Like, when we were driving home, I tell, he wasn't the only one that got it, because I watched one of my other guys that has been with me from since I started TCW, and I started training before he did, and he's been in the business way long enough to know better. And I watched his match, and to see him go out there and pretty much lay an egg, I was so disappointed and I was so mad, because one thing that I always emphasize to my guys is, no matter if you're a new guy or not, you work the crowd. The worst thing you can do in this business is be in that ring and no one is responding to anything you're doing. Like, everybody just sitting there like, okay, we don't know these two guys, so we're not going to respond. They had no clue who Keegan was. They had no clue who I was. And we rocked that house. Like, me and Keegan rocked that house. And by the time we got done, they hated him. They loved me. I was selling merch off the shelves. But to see him go out there and do that, and it was just so, between him and Ethan Daniels, I tore into them half the way home.
It was no hard feelings. Like, I got a good laugh out of it and stuff, and I still get a good laugh.
Oh, we still mess with him about it. Like, I told him, I was like, hey, William was like watching the Gold Rush, and he goes, for real? I go, yeah, and I said, he sure did bring up asking where you was, because he brought up about the trust issue.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to pass it back to the lover of waffles, the receiver of all things unsolicited, my co-host, Mika Villas. Mika, what do you have for our guest?
You will have to excuse Huckaby. One too many chair shots in the head in the 900 years that he's been walking this earth. I mean, one more won't kill him. Trust me, because I keep hitting him one more time, and he still won't die. I want to go back to talking about you and your guys, because we're not doing video as per usual, but I'm looking at you. You've got this hat on. I don't know if the hat is because you have done service to our country. Here we go. I was going to ask you, which branch of the military, sir, for those who are not able to see that loveliness on your head?
I was in the U.S. Army.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. Go Army, baby. What?
I was an infantryman. I went from the ground to a Bradley gunner. I was a platoon sergeant Bradley gunner by the end of my career. Spent my first year right after basic right into Korea. They sent me straight to Korea after.
What part of Korea?
I was stationed at Camp Hovey.
Okay, well, see, because I was in the Army as well. I was a combo guy. I'm sorry, Mika. I didn't interrupt. It's military talk.
That's okay. I knew you would get all excited again. One more cheer shot won't kill you, and I'm going to keep on trying. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's very difficult to find somebody who's in the Army who's stationed in Korea, especially their second ID. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you'll find them when you get up here. They're all over. We're all over.
I did 6 months at Camp Humphreys, and I did 6 months at Camp Red Cloud at division headquarters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did a year in 30 days, because right as I was on the plane to go home, these fools started shooting mortar rounds at each other. They pulled me off the plane, and it's the funniest story because the guy comes on. He's like, "Hey, all soldiers need to get off this plane because you're getting extended." And I said, "Okay, I'm in civilians." I slumped down in my chair. Maybe he won't see me, you know. They go call off people's names. I refuse to answer my name and everything. All of a sudden, he asked for my ID, and I was like, "Oh, God damn it. There you go." So I had to call my mom, tell her, you know, "Hey, I'm not coming home for another 30 days. I said they extended me out. So I had to go back to my unit, reissue my stuff, got into Bradley. We drove to the DMZ, and literally for 4 hours, I sat there with my gun facing a guy on the tower with his 50 cal pointed at my vehicle. All we were waiting on was the word from the president to break the seal. Once that would have happened and I was uploaded, it would have been on. And they told us, honestly, my unit and the other unit that was there, they didn't expect for any of us to make it back. Our unit was pretty much what they call was a speed bump. We were just to slow North Korea down enough to get the civilians back to Seoul. And then once all the civilians were back in Seoul, we were allowed to fall back. So there was a guy in the back that never took training serious, ever. He was a little rich boy. His parents pretty much told him if he made it through his first initial enlistment, they would give him like I think it was like $5,000 or something like that and everything. So he never took it serious. Boy, he was back there crying and I ain't get saved by my mama. I don't know what to do and everything. It's like, man, shut the hell up. No, I don't want to hear that shit. I got a 50 cal pointed at me right now. I'm not trying to hear you whine and cry right now, you know. But, you know, it was definitely one of those things that I think helped me be a better person and see life in a different in a different point of view. Because I told my commander, we're not gonna be a roadblock. I'm telling you right now. I said we're gonna make it out of here. I said I don't care if I got to shoot everything that moves. We making it out of here. Because nobody's writing my mom a letter about, you know, hey, he didn't make it. Nothing. No. So luckily, you know, God willing, we didn't have to do it. We didn't have to break the seal. We ended up talking it out, and we, you know, went back to our units. But then it sucked. I still was stuck there for another 30 days. So, you know, I ain't do nothing but go to Seoul and party after that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you deserved it. So, again, thank you for your service. And do you think that service helps you now in your role as you are a leader amongst your men, your trainees, and you're kind of getting them on the right path? Do you find that you're pulling some of your Army knowledge and know-how to deploy your troops in this?
Definitely, yes. I say yeah because especially when I was training those guys, they hated when they got in trouble because I was like, it's smoke session time, and I put them boys through workouts that we did in the military, and they were flutter kicking and, you know, ups and downs and all types of stuff. You know, I would have them running and they would hate when they got in trouble, but it was just one of those things of, you know, just teaching them discipline and I wanted those guys to be humble in this business. You know, I never want any of my guys to ever be told that, hey, you know, you're not humble in this business. You're you know, you think you're cocky, you think you know everything. You know, and I know some people have problems with ACH. I know, believe me. There was many a times during training, and he will tell you that I had to super kick him in the mouth because he wouldn't shut the hell up. Like, he would not. Like, we in the middle of teaching something, and he talking about what happened yesterday, and I would just literally, there was no slap in the leg. It was just pow right in the mouth. Just shut the fuck up, dude. Like,
oh my God.
Shut up. Like, you know, we trying to teach a lesson, and you over here talking, and somebody's missing out on the lesson. So, but it's one thing that made me proud because he. You know, somebody was talking about on his Wikipedia how it says he was trained by Scott Summers. And he was like, no, I wasn't trained by Scott Summers. And I went to a Ring of Honor show when he was still at Ring of Honor. And he took me to Jay Lethal, and he's like, hey, this is the guy who trained me. And it made me really proud because, you know, you get guys that sometimes when they get to that level, they don't acknowledge, who trained them because they're not a famous trainer. They're not somebody that's, been in WWE and stuff like that. So, for him to acknowledge that I was his trainer, and for some of these other guys that are still going, like JoJo and all of them, they always tell me, hey, our success is because of you. So it makes me feel good and everything. But I mean, I've traveled. I've done my fair share. I've wrestled in Mexico for a while. I used to wrestle in AAA for a little bit under a mask, and then I've traveled around for AIWF. The first time I was with AIWF, we went and did the cruiserweight tournament, which turned out not to be a cruiserweight tournament. But I got to go to Seattle, got to go, go up there and wrestle and everything. So I definitely think that being in the military has really put that fire to make sure, to put it into my guys. And I really think that they understand that, hey, when I say something, it's like Will just said, he knew when he saw that look in my face, like, dude, like, you gonna pay. Like, literally, I did not just bring you down here for you to embarrass me like that, So, but I do think it hit home with them, what I said in the vehicle on the way home, because, I mean, now they got invited to a tag team tournament up in North Carolina. I know they'll be we're going to Kansas in June. June 2nd, we'll be going to Kansas, and I think they'll be wrestling for the AIWF World Tag Team titles. I know Flex has been running his mouth, so I think me and Flex about to get into it,
Super kick!
Yeah. I'm going to have to show him who the real Flexy is, who's really Flexy. He ain't Flexy like me. But, and William will tell you, I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big guy at all, but I'm old school. I don't go out there. I don't feel like I need to go out there and do 35 flips. I was brought up in a time where this is wrestling. It's not gymnastics. We're out there to tell a story, to entertain. And if you feel like you got to go do 40 flips for people to cheer for you, that is why, if you notice, a lot of these young kids, their careers end so quick. They're blowing out knees. They're blowing out, backs and breaking necks and everything because they're trying to do all this gymnastic stuff instead of let's go back to wrestling. Let's go back to telling a story and wrestling. Like I said, nowadays I want to get paper, and sometimes I see some of these matches, I just want to throw up, oh, that was a 5. I give that 4. Okay.
You've seen Huckaby flip then, clearly.
He didn't stick the landing, so I got to take off points for, not sticking the landing,
Speaking of not sticking the landing, and I would only give it about maybe a 2.5, I'm going to turn you back over to Huckaby now.
Thank you, Mika.
You're welcome.
Speaking of, you guys are doing all this traveling and stuff, let's go ahead and talk about next weekend. The end of this month, Wrestle Wars. TCW presents Wrestle Wars, your 10th year anniversaries. This is the big show. Main event, the AIWF World Heavyweight Champ, The Incredible Hulk, National Treasure, reality TV star, myself, versus the winner of the Gold Rush tournament, Omega. But it's not just that. You are defending your title, the TCW heavyweight title in the triple threat match. You have tag team matches and stuff. What makes this? Because I've seen, like you said before, earlier in the show, I've actually watched your TCW live via Facebook Live and stuff, a personal feed, which I appreciate very much. What makes this show very special? What makes it different from every other show that you guys are going to have this year?
One, because this has always been like our WrestleMania. This has always been our big show, and because when I first started, people always told me, because I don't use a lot of big, supposedly up in, big Texas talent, I don't pay out the yin yang to bring in all these big names and stuff like that. I use Texas talent. I use the guys that people, throw off to the side, the people that say, oh, they're not good and all this other stuff. I use those guys and I try to mold them and make them into household names. You know, these are guys that may never make it to WWE. These guys may not never make it to that level. So I use these guys. And so Wrestle Wars is to the point, like I said, this is our 10 year. We weren't supposed to make it past 2 years, according to everybody else. So to make it 10 years and still going, and we've only brought in big talent every now and then. Like I've brought in Daivari once. Athena wrestled for me a couple times before she went to WWE, before she was Amber Moon. I've had Simply Luscious. I've had Bryson Scott, I've had Chase Stevens on my show. I've had we just brought in Lance Hoyt, we had Hoyt on our show. I've had Awesome Kong, but these names come in, I bring them in like maybe once a year or something like that, It's not one of those things that every show when you come to TCW, you're going to see some big name, because I'm trying to make these local guys, the big name. The same thing we were talking about in North Carolina. I want to bring in guys from other states that people in Texas may not travel out to go see. Because, a lot of times people in Texas aren't going to travel out to North Carolina to go see wrestling in North Carolina. They're not going to travel out to South Carolina and all these other places to see wrestling. If it's not on Facebook or something that they can look up, they don't know who some of these people are. So this is my chance to work with other promotions, to bring other people in, and to open up the door to somebody else who may be wanting to come into Texas and work more in Texas. Because whether people want to believe it or not, we are trendsetters. In Texas, everybody used to do a ring in the room. Like literally, that's all it was. There was only certain promotions that actually put money into their production. But there was everywhere I went, it was a ring and there was a black curtain over a door. That was it. That was it. So when I started running, it was a ring. We had entranceway. I went out and bought clip lights and bought the different colored light bulbs and everything. And we made them flicker and stuff like that. Like literally, it was an entranceway. So when people came, they were like, oh, that's nice. That's different. And for a while, we used to be, people used to call us like the mini WWE, because we would do stuff like that. And my thing is, I'm not trying to be like WWE. I'm just trying to give these guys something to be proud of. And a lot of times, when I bring in outside talent, that's the same thing. I always tell them, I really hope you enjoyed being here. It's something that you can go back and tell people, hey, dude, this show was awesome, and they didn't have no big names. We brought in Thunder Rosa, and literally, we had almost 200 plus people, and that was the only considered big name that we had on our show. So
let's say, because this show, Wrestle Wars, you got the world champion coming in.
Yes.
And I'm going to put myself over, because I draw money. No matter what, don't listen to Mika when she talks. I draw money.
Because you got a crayon and a pencil, maybe you draw money. Oh, sorry.
I got a pack of green crayons and some white paper. But main event. Let's talk about Omega, because I've done my research on the kid and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously he's one of the top guys there at TCW and stuff. Big kid, very agile and stuff. Still young with a lot of upside, a lot of potential and stuff. Obviously he's not going to win, because I'm the world champion. I'm very confident in myself. But
wow, way to sell those tickets.
I'm just telling you, I'm the man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give him a spectacle on the show, but he's not coming out with the title. I'm confident in myself. But getting back to Omega, and getting back to the gentleman that you're gonna face and stuff. What should the fans expect? Because I know that these guys are very hyped up. I know for a young guy such as Omega and stuff, this is probably the biggest match that he's ever had to date.
Yeah.
Are those guys nervous? When leading up to Wrestle Wars, is the roster nervous? Are the young guys nervous about what they have to do? Is there a lot of pressure for them to have a home run, or is everybody just happy in their place, or lack of a better term, in the batting order that they're in, to whether they got to hit a single or a triple or a double?
I think a lot of them are nervous. I know Omega's definitely been hitting the gym a lot more. I know he started training with Rudy Boy Gonzalez. He's been training with him. So, and I've seen this kid do some stuff. Like I've seen him do a moonsault off the top rope, and it was just amazing. Like it amazes me when I see big guys get up there and do stuff like that. But he can move. He's still young in the business, but he definitely appreciates this opportunity. For those that don't know, he won it by winning the AIWF TCW Gold Rush tournament that we have here, which is, to me, one of the most legit tournaments in pro wrestling. Literally, the outcome is not decided by the promoter, by the booker, or anything like that. It's decided by
Mika, I will tell you that is a shoot. I actually, and we can go ahead and break the fourth wall down. I actually asked, I was like, hey, I'm coming in at the end of May. Who are we working with? And I was literally told, we don't know yet. And I was like, okay, well, who's in the tournament? He told me the names of the tournament. And I was like, okay, so who's winning the tournament? And they're like, we don't know yet. And I was like, and then the show has started, Mika. And I was like, okay, so the show has started, who's winning? And they're like, we won't know until the semi-main. We won't know who's winning.
Wow.
So it was literally, I did not know who was winning until the main event was going on. So I would say without a 100%, this is legit. If people want a good show,
literally, if people tune into our when we go live for Facebook, when we do our brackets, because literally none of the guys know we all know who's in the tournament. But they have no clue who they're facing until we do our bracket, what we call our Friday night bracket. And literally all it is we draw names out of a hat. And that's, whoever comes up, that's who you face. And that's how the bracket is set. It's not, oh, well, I'm going to put this guy over and I'm going to put this guy over. No, the promoter has no decision on who wins this tournament. Literally, when we get the trophy made, it has no name on it. It just has the year and it has the name of the tournament. That's it. So literally, by the end of the night, we're just as surprised as everybody else on who's winning the match because we have no clue. And like I said, to break the fourth wall, honestly, if I to give y'all how we do it, honestly, it's by a flip of a coin.
Wow! Holy crap!
That's how you do it, right there. Make the guys go out there and call it on the fly.
Yeah.
But Mr. B, I know that our time with you is running very short and stuff. You're a very busy man. You got a big show coming up and stuff. So this is the part of the show where we ask our guests to basically, to put it in wrestling terms, get your shit in. So go ahead and, for the last minute, people are not already psyched about coming to see Wrestle Wars 10. Go ahead and put over Wrestle Wars. Go ahead and give out all of your social media where they can follow you, where they can follow the company, and put over whoever else you would like to put over. With the exception of Omega, because me and him, we can't put him on my top right now.
Oh my gosh.
But by all means, get your shit in.
Well, like I said, May 26th, right here in Killeen, Texas, is going down. Wrestle Wars 10. It's our 10th year anniversary. We got we got 8 great matches. 8 great matches plus 2 pre-show matches. Doors open up at 5. We're going to have 2 pre-show matches going during then. We'll also be live on Facebook. If you go to our TCW Interactive page, we have a group called TCW Fan Nation and also TCW Interactive. You go to those pages, you'll actually get to watch the pre-show live. And then once we start at 6 o'clock, it'll cut off. So it's one of those things you got to be there to see everything that's going to go down. You got the TCW TV title is going to be on the line, which is Tony Strong versus Richard Reason. You got the TCW Tag Team titles, which will be on the line, Squad versus the Renegades of Wrestling. We got the Run for the Gold match, which is Godric McKenzie versus Ethan Daniels. We also have the TCW Lightning Division Championship, which is going to be a 4-way elimination title match. And it's going to be awesome. That is Justin Lee, who is the current champion, versus Kenny Steele versus Hooligan Ace and Sammy Haggard. These are 4 really good up-and-coming talents. It's going to be really good. 5th, we've got Baby D, and it was supposed to be Baby D and Human Tornado. Human Tornado hurt his back, and so he won't be able to make it. So we actually replaced him with the American Eagle. So it'll be Baby D and the American Eagle versus the Sabotage World Champion Erica Torres and and Double D. I'm sorry. And then we also have my match, the TCW Heavyweight title match will be Mr. B versus Jan Ostrom, who has had some WWE experience. He did a couple dark matches and some matches on Sunday Night Heat and Raw, versus the self-proclaimed better than ACH Marcus Rose. And then we have Mikey 13 versus a mystery opponent. And then in the main event, we've got the AIWF World Heavyweight Championship, William Huckaby versus Omega for the AIWF World title. You don't want to miss it. Tickets are on sale right now. All you got to do is go to www.tcwzone.com. Get your tickets online. They're really cheap right now. It's best to get them online. And I tell everybody, right now is the best time to get your VIP seats. VIP seats, there are only 10 of them. Right now, we're selling them for $35. If you wait till the day of the show, it's $50. Now, people are like, well, why am I paying that much? You get a waitress that will serve you all night. You get a free bucket of beer or a bucket of soda, whichever one you want, or you can mix them together. We'll have food up there for you. You also get a signed autograph event poster of all the guys that are on the show. They will all sign the event poster. And plus some of the guys will come up there and hang out with you in the VIP area.
I will come. Let it be known, I will come and hang out in VIP if they have Tangerine. If there's Tangerine cranberry, I will be in the VIP all night long. I'm not even gonna lie about it, ladies and gentlemen.
We can't serve that stuff. So it's only beer. So that's the after party.
But they give me some really good Negro Modelo or any other Mexican beer, any other Mexican cerveza, and I will be in VIP all night long. There you go.
So definitely get online, check us out at Total Championship Wrestling on Facebook, or you can go to our website. It's www.tcwzone.com for more information. Get your tickets. You don't want to miss this event. And if you've never seen William Huckaby work, this is the event you don't want to miss, because I seen him work and I was impressed. I was impressed.
I just want somebody to hit him with a chair. Can I pay $30 for VIP for that?
Why she almost spit her water out?
Because she's an evil old lady. She's like Ursula the Sea Witch.
She almost spit her water out.
Don't pay $30 to come and hit me with a chair. What the hell? Mr. Boone, thank you for being a guest on our show. Let our fans and listeners become your fans and listeners. How can they contact you personally?
You can get at me on Facebook under John Paterson Jr., or you can go to Chi-Town's Finest Mr. B on Facebook. We got that. Or we also got fans of Chi-Town's Finest Mr. B. I got 30 pages. I don't care. I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Hit me up on Twitter, Chi-Town's Finest on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram. There you go. Bam, I'm all over. You cannot miss Chi-Town's Finest. And like I said, you catch me. I'll be in Kansas in June. This weekend coming up, I'll be going all week. Can't nobody get a hold of me because I will be on a boat. I will be on a cruise. I'm going for a cruise for a week. This is my little mini vacation. 17 years, I've never taken a day off from wrestling. So this is my chance to take a week off before wrestling.
If I give you $30, will you take Mika with you and just drop her off on some deserted island?
That is so wrong.
Well, Mr. B, thank you for being a guest on the show. We totally appreciate it. I will see you in 2 weeks, or a little over 2 weeks. Let the boys know that I'll actually probably get there very early and stuff if anybody wants to work out, not named Omega.
Yeah, we usually do. We do set up the night before on Friday. So if you come into town Friday, we'll be setting up on Friday. Saturday, we plan on having everything done, because like literally when I say we go all out for our Wrestle Wars show, we go all out. Like this is going to be a mini WWE. I'm spent a lot of money on entranceway, audio stuff, everything. Like we going all out, and so it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun at the after hour, at the after party. So it's going to go down. It's going down. We going to bring it. We're going to bring
All
it.
right.
And so I hope nobody misses it. I really do appreciate y'all having me on the show. You know, I do.
Thank you for being a
Nobody
guest.
usually interviews me. This
Well,
is amazing.
thank you for being a guest on the show. We'll probably do something live there on the 26th, but I'll catch you down the road, all right?
All right, man.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye,
Bye.
y'all.
Mika,
Yes.
Mr. B,
Mr. B is still on the line there. CW is got it.
slacking.
There we go.
Mika, Mr. B, let me tell you something. And before you get to your opinion about him, literally, he's a great guy. He's one of the good guys in professional wrestling. His trainees, his students, the kids that he brought with him on the road, some of the best guys. Super humble, with the exception of that one little snafu where the kid said the two-year greenhorn told the world champion that he didn't trust him to give him a spine buster. With that aside, all of these guys are super respectful. They dress the part, they act the part and stuff. I'm really looking forward to going back to making my return to Texas.
Well, first and foremost, the kid was honest. Man, he didn't trust you. I like this kid. I don't care what you say. I don't trust you to give me a spine buster either. I'm just saying. Now, outside of that, Mr. B is from the south side of Chicago. He is a Army veteran. He is now living and residing and doing things in Texas. How can you not just like and appreciate someone who has that kind of reserve, that kind of humility, that kind of fortitude? Man, seriously, I'm almost tempted to, say, hey, come pick your girl up. Let me roll into Texas and see you get beat up by this Omega kid. But,
Hey, look, you know what? You're more than welcome to hop in the ride, you know what I'm saying, and ride with us to Texas. You know what I'm saying? Jump in the ride with us to Texas, see some Texas wrestling. I will tell you there are a lot of really talented guys who are going to be on that show. I'm not even going to lie to you. I know most people think I'm saying that because I'm booked on the show, but a lot of his kids. Tony Strong is a phenomenal looking kid. The squad, probably with the exception of the Ugly Ducklings and the Gymnastic Boys, are probably the most creative and exceptional young tag team in professional wrestling right now. Those kids really step out or really stand out as far as looks, as far as presentation, as far as their ring work. And then you got Omega, who is another what I like to call a new age big man, who's a super heavyweight who's a big man that can get out there and brawl and do the power moves, but at the same time, like Mr. B said, the kid can really move.
It's gonna be one hell of a show, man. Honestly and truly. People need to get up and get out. And that VIP sounded really nice as well. Bucket of beers and wrestling.
Beer, food, and wrestling? What? So speaking of food and beer and food and wrestling, Mika, what do you got going on this weekend?
This weekend is a busy weekend, guys and girls. I don't know where I'm going to be. There's so much wrestling happening. Again, if anybody out there, one of our fans, if there's a cloner in the house, let me know, because there is Fest Wrestling happening in Florida. There's also in Tennessee, the Making Towns Classic is happening. I am so torn. I'm maybe going to go to the Making Towns Classic, but Fest is Bring Your Mom to their Mother's Day show. And if you've never been to Fest and you're in the Florida area, by all means, go. It is a long drive for me, so it's why I'm probably going to go to the Making Towns Classic, which is an all-female show. I'm, of course, doing commentary later this month at May the Queen Reign for Battle Club Pro, so get my all-female show, fill and quota, but Fest is phenomenal. You definitely want to check them out because it is an experience that you just have to go to believe. Making Towns Classic is going to have some phenomenal female talent on it. So
Mika, can I say that the Making Towns Classic, I feel like that should have been an intergender show. Like, that had all the makings of a really good intergender show.
You never know what could happen. I mean,
or at the very least, they should have Effie on the show. At the very least, they should have Effie.
Hey, Effie's home is in Fest. It's kind of hard to, pull people away from their homes when they're running on the same dates. That's
So where are you going to be at, Mika?
I'm going to
Making Towns Classic. Which one?
I mean, you know what? I can wind up at Six Flags. You don't know with me. Stay tuned to my social media. Check it out on my Facebook. I'm being bad on Twitter, y'all. I'm sorry. I just noticed that I have not been tweeting, so I'm going to get my booty back on Twitter, get my tweets back on. So follow the social medias, and you will see where I am. Doesn't matter where I am. because you need to be out at a wrestling show someplace this weekend. Where are you gonna be, champ? I say that, dishearteningly.
Really? This weekend, Friday, I might go check out the show. I'm thinking about going to check out the show with some friends and stuff. Mainly because, my homeboy to get bundles will be facing Chase Stevens, and I really want to watch that match. And then drop stamps and the show and stuff. So I might go check out that show. I don't know. I don't really like the company that the show's going to be at, but I might go there.
Can we say where that is?
I was going to be at Mega Championship Wrestling in Marmet, West Virginia. So I might check out that show. And then Saturday, I will be in Charleston, West Virginia for International Combat Sports. They're having, I'm going to be in Dunbar, West Virginia. I don't know why I said Charleston, but Dunbar's right outside Charleston. Anyway, Dunbar, West Virginia, International Combat Sports. They'll be having their tournament to crown their first ICS Grand Champion. I will be defending my AIWF World Heavyweight Championship against one Todd Tyson from North Carolina. And I think that's about it. That's all I have this weekend because, actually once I get to like the end of May, it's just going to be booking after booking. So I've kind of like calmed down the first couple of weeks of May because going into the summer and stuff from Memorial Day on, this whole summer is going to be just non-stop wrestling for Huckaby.
Well, thank you for the warrant. This summer is non-stop wrestling, so I guess you have to pace yourself, old man.
Hey, man. Hey, I got a couple of festivals. You got AWE at the Certified Gaming Expo. I'm going to be there. Mucha Lucha, going back to, Mexico. Might be taking a tour of Canada, and Australia, New Zealand. I'm just in the works for those things. So I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to be everywhere and nowhere and anywhere. Who knows? But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's been your show tonight. This has been the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Once again, if you haven't done it already tonight while listening to this podcast, be sure to go check out our friends at Indie Customs. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's not something perverted. They are the premier place to go for wrestling and non-wrestling needs. You can pick up merchandise from not only myself and this podcast, but you also pick up t-shirts and merchandise from the IWA Mid-South and Best Tag Team Champions, the Gymnasty Boys, the Workhorsemen, the Hierarchy, which includes Adrian Armour, Joseph Blackwell, Blacklist Uno. I almost messed his name up, girl.
Again, yes.
The Lethal Lovers, Anthony Henry and Amber Young, Mr. Sleaze, TJ Boss, etc., etc., etc. And while you're doing that, be sure to get on Facebook, say what's up to our friends at Pro Wrestling World for all of your wrestling information and gossip. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our producer, C.W. Smith, the man behind the boards, on behalf of my co-host, the lover of waffles, the voice of the speech impediment, the receiver of all things unsolicited, and by the way, keep those things coming, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Hashtag What That Mouth Do, a.k.a. Chicago Win, one half of the world's cutest commentary team, Mika Villas. I am the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion, the West Virginia Championship Wrestling Heritage Champion, the disrespectful intellectual, the Southern gentleman, the Mid-Atlantic bully, a national treasure and reality TV star, the incredible Huck, Will Huckaby, saying peace out and support indie wrestling.